In today's news, we have confirmation from Molly Elmore, digital asset and tokenization professional, chief marketing officer of Valhill Capital, that Tether is corrupt. They took a deal and they will become the new FTX, doomed to fail. Listen very closely.
In 2019, Tether got flipped. They were sued in the SDNY, the special district in New York, and it looks like they took a deal, and now Tether, for the last couple of years, has been used by the banking cartel to move money in and out of the United States outside of the legal framework. That's why Tether, no matter what they do, they can't get taken out. They can't get, they're never in trouble, really. It is fascinating why they seem to get this level of protection that no one else has. And nobody seems to work at Tether. There was a CEO who was never around, and the CTO, Paolo Ardino or something like that, has now assumed the CEO role. BitBoy even went down to the Bahamas. Oh, that's the other thing. They're offshore, and no one seems to care about that. They went down to the Bahamas, looked at the parking lot, and there was 2 parking spots, right? So this is a multi-billion-dollar fintech. I mean, think about how many people work at Ripple, hundreds and hundreds. But there's 3 or 4 people who work at Tether, and we don't really know much about them. It looks a lot like FTX in that it's a cover for something else, and the people who are really doing the work aren't disclosing that on their LinkedIn profile or whatnot. So Tether, I think we will find out the truth one day. I think they are protected until the time when a flip the switch black swan event happens. Tether gets taken out, crashes it, and then the Phoenix merges with the new payment system, right in line with problem reaction solution that they've had in place the whole time.
Not if, when. When the flip the switch black swan moment happens, Tether will collapse, and I have confirmation here from the elites of the world, the IMF, the BIS, that XRP has been greenlighted to take its place. This post from Smoke here from the IMF. Any ambitious reform of the SDR should embrace the private use of this global currency. A global currency denominated in commodities, the virtual SDR, the new SDR, would be a global cryptocurrency that could circulate between central banks. So not just that the IMF confirmed that this new SDR will be used by more than just the governments and the central banks of the world, it will be used by private sectors, private companies like Ripple for example, but they've also confirmed that this new virtual SDR will be a global cryptocurrency. This is huge news. They're literally talking about the implementation of a single global currency that will impact every human being on Earth to level the playing field. That is right, this is not fake. This is real and coming very, very soon, a new world reserve currency. And spoiler alert, it is highly likely that this new world reserve currency will be Ripple with XRP, and not just because of their deep ingrained connections and partnerships to the governments and central banks of the world, but also because Marcus Infranga, spoiler alert, confirmed the next big step is happening with Ripple. Tokenization. They have now come to Ripple with real use cases teed up. At FT Crypto yesterday, he discussed why it won't be long before banks are ready for mass adoption of blockchain. This is huge news. I spoke about the significance of tokenization a few days ago with the BIF Director General Augustine Carson stated, small steps and giant leaps. To unleash the promise of tokenization, I need to deliver a giant leap. We need to bring the different tokens together, commercial money, central bank money, and digital assets like cryptocurrencies like XRP.
Tokenized digital assets contain both the information necessary to uniquely identify assets and their owners, as well as the rules and logic governing their use. When correctly used, tokens could increase the speed, lower the cost, and heighten the efficiency of financial transactions. To unleash the promise of tokenization, i.e. to deliver a giant leap, we need to bring the different kinds of tokens together. Commercial bank money, central bank money, tokens on different assets. Unified ledgers are the platforms where this can happen. Once these different tokens are brought together in the same programmable platforms, new functionalities can be deployed, like smart contracts and composability.
The whole world is now gearing up for mass adoption of blockchain, of tokenization, of crypto, of XRP, and Ripple will replace Tether and their corruption with the introduction of their new stablecoin, especially Ripple posted just yesterday, it is estimated that the stablecoin market could reach $3 trillion by 2028, 3 to 4 years from now, not too far off. And with Ripple's lawsuit coming close to an end, XRP's adoption in the United States especially is about to go parabolic. The Federal Reserve are literally writing papers talking about financial literacy, risk tolerance, and cryptocurrency ownership in the United States, proving that cryptocurrency is definitely not going anywhere. And the developments outside the United States across the world are an even bigger green light to XRP's takeover. Here we can see from 707 Crypto, meanwhile outside the United States you have the rollout of digital asset frameworks from the Qatar Finance Central Authority. Listen very closely.
I feel like the majority of the regulations that we're seeing would very much be focused on the financial services aspect and seeing if they will be covered under securities or banking law. Perfect. But we do not want to also do certain use cases and service providers injustice by putting them under the regulated financial sector section when they're purely infrastructure providers, for example. That should not be regulated. Maybe they could be falling under an outsourcing agreement or having some digital operation resilience aspect that they have to comply with, but not necessarily regulated in a financial sense.
Furthermore, from XRP drops here we can see Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse on the Dubai FinTech Summit 2024 stating, "I really do think that if we look 10 or 20 years in the future, Dubai will be viewed as one of the financial capitals of the globe." Both of these clips are huge news because Ripple is deeply connected and ingrained to both of them across the world. And in the long term, as Brad Garlinghouse stated, 10 or 20 years when Dubai becomes one of the financial capitals of the globe, XRP's price by then, in my opinion, will be worth thousands of dollars. Not financial advice, of course, but XRP's adoption and price is going to explode, in my opinion. The reason why XRP is so cheap right now, though, is because, for one, the SEC, of course, but for two, and more importantly, banks aren't allowed to use public ledgers right now. As we can hear in this video, that is when we will start to see significant adoption worldwide, and XRP's price, therefore, will explode.
We've seen JP Morgan go the route of a private blockchain, for example. What was the decision process in terms of picking public versus private?
Well, so banks are subject to different regulations than, let's say, asset managers or us. We're a registered transfer agent with the SEC and a broker-dealer. We're subject to SEC regulations. Banks are subject to OCC regulations. And currently in the US, the OCC is recommending banks not to use public blockchains as kind of like underlying financial service infrastructure. We don't have the same kind of restrictions. And I do believe that public blockchains is where the innovation will happen because of, you know, the compositability of being able to do things on top of it, etc. If you want to understand the differences, it's similar to when internet started and you have, you know, American Online and MSN that were close, and then you have the public internet, and the public internet is where the innovation happened, right? Because anybody could actually build things on top of what somebody else was building, right? So long term, I think that public blockchains is where the future is and where innovation will happen. And unfortunately, banks have restrictions and they're still trying to be innovative, like JP Morgan with Onyx, but subject to what the regulators allow them to do.
Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.